Hey there, everybody. This is our review for NCIS Season 18, Episode 10, entitled Watchdog.
Oh!
Our watchdog is
no.
here. She's ready to take down any nefarious
That's
dog
right.
criminals. I really hate episodes where like animals are in danger or trouble or anything else. It's like one of those things that I have a really hard time watching it.
Yeah, this was tough, really tough. I don't like them either at all. It makes me want to hug our Coco Chanel Vanderwolf even. Oh,
See,
yes.
there we go. See,
Hello, my little love.
we all need a happy portrait of a dog to get us all through after this, because like, what a crazy episode. I mean, for weeks now, NCIS has just thrown various layers of sadness and or anger onto us.
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been sort of everything with Jimmy's wife, and then Sloane left, and then everything with Emily Furnell, and now this.
Is Mark Harmon actually leaving the show? Like, they're really putting it out there. We have tried our best to dispel a lot of these rumors, because there's a lot of garbage ones that have been out there for years about this.
Yeah, every time Mark Harmon's contract comes up for negotiation, which is like every year or two, which is completely normal. This is completely normal. Every time to renegotiate, he always comes back. Now, I'm not saying like that he'll never leave. I don't think he will, but because he's up for renegotiation, there's been lots of articles out there of is Mark Harmon leaving? Oh, these rumors, who knows? Okay, listen, this is the only time, or one of the only times, that we start to look at this and we're just like, okay, now the show has actually given us a cliffhanger of, is Mark Harmon leaving NCIS? And we have some thoughts on it, but don't worry.
Before we get into that, beyond the don't worry, if you guys do enjoy this discussion, so just subscribe to the channel, because we will be here for all sorts of NCIS stuff. It does look like we have a little bit of a hiatus, so
of course,
that is the cliffhanger we're all left with. But you know what? We will be here for you the moment it is resolved, and hopefully Gibbs pops right back up on the show.
And also follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV, where you can have more pictures of our little Coco Chanel.
Yes.
She is most of the Instagram.
She really, really is.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Is Mark Harmon leaving NCIS? Anything is possible. However, a major lead of a show leaving their show this many seasons in the middle of their contract is very rare. And I mean, we have seen stuff like this happen over on Grey's, but typically they're at the very least going to go through their whole contract because they are contractually obligated to finish out their season. However, you know, they left us with this cliffhanger where we saw that Leon had to tell Gibbs that he is suspended indefinitely. So what does that really mean? Does that mean that he's leaving?
No. Okay, this does not mean that he's leaving. All it means is exactly what Leon said it means, which is Gibbs is suspended. Gibbs did a bad thing. I mean, we all may have our sort of moral feelings about the fact that he was this person who was doing terrible things to dogs, and, you know, Gibbs wanted immediate punishment for this. But at the end of the day, he is a federal agent. He went over the line as a federal agent. The team tried to cover for him, but no, he still recognizes he needs to be punished, and the suspension is how that can happen. But guess what? He could be suspended and still be on the show. Like, that is fine. That is okay.
Yeah, and I have a sort of theory about this, which is just that Gibbs has gone through a lot the past little while. He's lost Sloane, Emily FORNELL'S died, and then Vance has said, Gibbs, I need you to take some time off. You need to take some time off. And Gibbs was like, nah, I'm fine. I'm going to keep going on. Then we get to the end of this, where it is very clear that Gibbs needs to take some time off. And he is stubborn, and he is not going to ask for that time off. He instead is going to double down on what he did, that he is not sorry for it. And that puts Vance in the position to just give him the time off. So instead of Gibbs asking for that time off, which is something he's not going to do, Vance is now has everything he needs to give it to Gibbs anyways, and now he has suspended him and is basically like, take your time off.
Yeah, and Gibbs has to do this now. Like,
Yeah.
he follows orders. He has a sense of duty. He doesn't feel like he's gonna leave his duty, even if it is the right thing for him to do. So now he has no choice. And Gibbs recognized, I think, what I did was very over the line in terms of the rules, regardless of whether or not I regret it. Rules have consequences. Here we go. Now, I don't know how long NCIS, the show, is going to prolong this suspension where Gibbs is like chilling with his new dog for like a period of time.
I think it's not even gonna last a whole episode. That's where I'm landing on this. A lot of people are watching this show for Gibbs, Gibbs and the team, but Gibbs primarily. I think that if they had him gone for episodes and episodes and episodes, like what's going on over at the Blacklist, people would not be as generous with the episodes that they have been over on the Blacklist to continue watching with one of their leads gone. And I think with this situation, if Gibbs is not on the show for episode after episode after episode, it's going to really hurt their show. So my guess is he will be back in this episode. Either he's going to be back sort of mid to end, his suspension will be over, some time has passed, we're now into the next episode, okay. Or we're going to have something where we see him having some time off and what is happening in his time off and how much he needs his job and to be back at the team. And the team is going to miss him and how much they need him. And it's all going to just circle around for him being back. I do not think that Mark Harmon is leaving the show.
I think we're going to be fine on the Mark front. I mean, hopefully for many seasons, but for at the very least this season. But while I did not like the subject matter of this episode, as I've already explained, I do think it was pretty well executed in terms of the team was really struggling, I think, to figure out how they felt about what Gibbs did, and you sort of saw them all struggle with it. I had a really difficult time with all of this because I was seeing McGee and Bishop and Torres lie for Gibbs, and it was like, I understand why they're doing this because Gibbs is their boss, but at the same time, I'm like morally conflicted for so much of this episode because it was like Gibbs did break the law. He did like beat this guy to a pulp.
Yeah, and that guy was drowning animals and drowning dogs. So, I mean, do I feel that bad about it? No, I think a lot of people in that same position, if they saw something like that, would probably have reacted the same way. I mean, anything that happens to animals is something that hits a lot of people really hard. Their innocence.
And I think that's probably why the episode, as difficult as it can be as a subject, I think that's why the episode picked dogs, because people love dogs so much, and I think they would understand, why Gibbs would do something like that in that situation, and why the team would go so far as to protect him, because all of them are kind of acting outside of their typical versions of themselves in a way, but then you look at what happened and you sort of say, okay, I get it, it's a difficult, touchy subject, but we all love dogs. We love our Coco.
Oh.
See, this bringing up Coco every few minutes just makes everything so much better.
Yeah, and I mean, this whole episode felt like it was circling back around to the fact that Gibbs was looking for a way to have time off, whether he wanted to say it or not. I mean, even after what he did, he was still like pushing Leon to be like, hey, you need to, I broke the law. Why is it being like this? Why aren't you putting your foot down on me? Almost like, please just put me on the bench for just a breath. I can't do it myself. My pride won't let me, but I need the break. Where's the justice for what I did? And it's hard because, again, it's such a hard subject of what was happening to these dogs that how can you blame Gibbs for this? This is not the first time that Gibbs has cowboyed himself into a mess or a corner.
It's all true, and I think just how it played out was so interesting and like psychological, and I will admit, I was totally caught off guard by how McGee's body cam ended up coming back into the episode because I had totally forgot all about that. Like, I
completely forgotten too.
Like, I just thought that was one of those, like, silly, like, comedic runners they always do before Gibbs comes in. I was like, well, what about blank, blah, blah, grab your gear? And then it's just like, we forget all about that. And then, boom, it's actually important.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be one of those fun things, like, whatever. The fish, the gym, the corn on the cob, like, all these sort of silly, fun things that all come in.
But it was like, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through this episode, and I was just like, okay, so Gibbs is screwed. The entire team is compromised. Like, is everyone getting fired by the end of this episode?
Yeah, there was a minute there that I was just like, oh no.
Like, I mean, you guys are very lucky, Bishop, McGee, Torres, that as it turns out, this Coyle, Mr. Bald, bow tie guy is apparently a dog lover, and he's willing to sort of let this all go because of the subject matter in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, it was sort of an interesting turnaround with that, where it was like, oh yeah, he's got some dogs as well, so he understands, but it certainly didn't feel like that throughout the episode, where he was giving this guy who was doing this to these dogs a pass, and a pass, and a pass, and a pass. It's just kind of like, okay, so you're the guy who's the letter of the law going up against Gibbs, who is, okay to color outside the lines sometimes if it brings in the bad guy.
Yeah, I guess he was just like, all right, now that there's enough evidence, we can go in this direction. It was pretty much a quick turn. It felt like it was almost like the end of an SNL sketch, and they're like, okay, we just need to come up with a way to wrap this up because we're running out of time.
Yeah, I almost wish that there was sort of a line or a little bit of conversation or dialogue between Bowtie Guy and someone else on the team at some point to just say, listen, I get it. I have dogs at home. I understand why you're fired up. I am fired up as well. Get me the evidence so I can make it stick. Like, really bring me something to make this stick instead of just coming across that way like he just doesn't care.
What'd you think about Gibbs ultimately adopting the dog? And now, are we going to see a lot of Gibbs and his dog moving forward now?
I thought that was great.
CBS is so smart like this. Like, they've really figured out the best way to endear people to your show even more. Let's bring in the dog. It's like when Hawaii Five-0 brought in the dog, and it's like, oh.
Well, the other thing is Gibbs has dealt with a tremendous amount of loss in his life. Like, a tremendous amount of loss. And so when you have a pet, it can really help you through a lot of stuff like that. And since Gibbs is not a touchy-feely, I want to talk about my feelings kind of person, he can just pet it out. Just be like, hey, and hug his dog and pet his dog and rub his face and be like, okay, I'm starting to feel better, because that does help.
Big couple of weeks for pets on NCIS, because we also have Torres and his goldfish,
Carl,
who hopefully he is not killed as of this recording. There was no Carl update in this episode.
No.
At all. But, there was a lot of just, like, good, interesting stuff. But here's the one thing I'm disappointed in just a little bit. Mm-hmm. You guys had Dr. Grace listed in the guest cast. Mm-hmm. And so I was expecting going in, okay, we're going to have, like, a big Dr. Grace Gibbs scene.
I was hoping for that, too.
I guess maybe the actress was somewhere not in LA, because our only scene was like the video conference with Vance where she was like on vacation or something.
I'll take what I can get to have her back, but I really would have liked to have seen her talking to Gibbs. But I mean, at the same time, that's not something that Gibbs would probably do at this point, because it does seem that the more things pile up on him, the less he talks. So I think even if she showed up and was like, hey, how's it going? Be like, no, I'm just going to pet my dog.
It makes everything better. Coco left, so I can't pet her anymore. But
yeah, now she's just eating stuff off the
which
floor.
Is great. Okay, but the one last thing I will say here is Mark Harmon and Sean Murray's performance in that scene where after Gibbs found out that McGee lied to the investigator, that was probably one of my favorite scenes of the two of them. Like, they were great in that scene.
It was very honest between them, and I like that McGee's at a point, and he has been for a little while now, that he is okay to call out Gibbs if Gibbs is sort of being a bit of a hypocrite about things, and be like, no, it's not just okay for you and not okay for me. It's okay for both of us. We're all part of this.
You know who could have maybe gotten through to Gibbs and made him feel a little bit better and try? Why is Sloane in Afghanistan?
Like,
If there was ever a time to just call Sloan, now is the time. Can we book Sloan a ticket back to DC? I mean, even for just a week.
I know.
Okay, well, I'm about to just crumble into like ash in this video. So with that in mind, we will wrap this up. But what did you guys think about NCIS Season 18, Episode 10? Where are you at with Gibbs? How long do you think he'll be gone from the team? Let us know. And if you do like this video, subscribe. You can also give us a like. And if you want to support us more, check those links to the store and our Patreon. We'll see you here next time.